Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pyreside Chat on this wonderful Cinco de Mayo and also the day after Star Wars Day, which is Revenge of the Fifth. I am Tempo, Kwame Mensa, and I am joined by my boy, my homie, Mr. Big Jon. What's going
What's
on,
up,
bud?
everybody?
And
Not much, man.
also,
Doing good.
so good to know. So good to know. I know you said that it's been raining quite a bit lately for you, as it has for myself here, but we're gonna brighten it up with this Pyreside, right? Isn't that what the whole point is? Huh? As we do have not Kip today, but yes, we have Johnny Salami here on production, helping out. He might be in the background, but he is at the forefront of our hearts, making things look beautiful on the stream for you guys. And finally, we have our guest, Mr. Ignas Cresticombe Klidja. Ah, did I get it right?
Very nice. Very
Oh,
close.
boss status. The guy who does what needs doing. He brings the fire as Ignis. Kind of has that fiery kind of feel to it, doesn't it, man? How you doing, man?
Pretty good, thanks.
Oh man. So before we even get started, so Ignis has just linked me a picture of him at King's Day. And he's not only the guy who gets stuff done, but also the slayer of cotton candy. Absolute slayer of cotton candy. I've seen a gigantic. I don't even know what like how do you describe that?
It's the size of my chest.
Yes, so which is pretty big because my boy does a little bit of calisthenics.
We should maybe clarify what we're talking about here. Kwame saw a picture of Ignis. At where was it again, Ignis?
King's Day. The King's birthday was last Thursday.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
King's
cool.
Day.
Yeah. So nice fair. Which is going to lead into my next question, King's Day. So, the King's birthday, and what part of the world? Yeah, where are you from? Who are you, Mr. Ignis?
Right. I live in the Netherlands, in The Hague, which is in South Holland.
Ah.
So if you were to say that I live in Holland, you would be correct.
Nice. And you also said that, Ignis, right? Klidja is more of a Lithuanian origin.
Yes, I'm not Dutch.
No.
I'm Lithuanian. I was I was not born there, but I am Lithuanian, which is northeast towards Poland.
Cool. That's awesome, though. Well, I mean, yeah. So, as far as your other name, the one that you go by, that is on your Discord, and perhaps and also the video games that you play, Cresticombe. Tell us about it. What does it mean? I think of a comb because I use a lot of combs, and I can show you some. Like I have a comb. Would this be a Cresticombe? This here?
Why not? Cresticombe means whatever you want it to mean.
Okay.
It's not an impressive story or anything. It is purely, what would be the word for a male chicken's hairdo, that little mohawk that they have?
Huh. We'd have to ask a chicken, huh?
I can't remember.
It actually has a name, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Lithuanian word for it is skiauterė, which can also mean like a piece of cloth, like a rag or something. So when I was maybe 12, I was like, I like that. Sounds cool. I'm going to translate it to English. So I went on the dictionary, like a paper dictionary.
Yeah.
I looked up the word skiauterė from Lithuanian to English, and I found the first two definitions. They don't really make sense. That doesn't really sound like a rag or something on the top of a male chicken's head.
Yeah.
I just mashed those together, Cresty and comb, and there it is. That's all there is to it.
Beautiful.
There you go.
That was compelling. See, he said it was going to be a boring story. Look, I learned how to say male chicken mohawk in Lithuanian. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of the most important things that we've all got from this interview already. And to know that the comb that I use could indeed be called a Cresticombe. So I have a pink one as well. So hopefully that is
Nice.
the same. But cool, man, cool. Yeah, I'm so excited to actually be able to talk to you. I know you've been on Pyreside couple times, but now here we are, able to at least introduce you to the world as so much has happened probably since the last time you've been on, right? So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. But I would want to ask you, I guess as far as your history, when it comes down to video games in general, right? Like, did you have any like specific time in your life where you got introduced to games and you were just like, oh, this is my jam?
Yes, the first moment that I know of, not that I remember, of me interacting with games in any fashion. This was back in Latvia, where I was born, not Lithuania.
Okay.
Um, we were living in an apartment. My mother, my father, and my brother, my older brother. He's 10 years older than me, so I was maybe 2 or 3 at the time. And
Okay.
he was playing this. I think it was this game, an old school uh, top-down orthographic uh, RPG called Konung, which translates to king in some language.
Okay.
And it's a really unforgiving game. It's a wonderful game. It reminds me of Morrowind in many ways, where it's very brutal if you don't know what you're doing, and if you go into the wrong places, you can die very easily.
Yeah, I
The
know.
problem with it being completely unleveled, unfortunately, is there's like the sweet spot of you're struggling, you're having fun, and then you get to this point where everything's perfect, and then you cross that threshold, and then you just stomp on everything. It's just kind of like boring. But that first like 30% of the game is
The
wonderful.
best.
Check it out.
Mhm.
There's 3 of them. They're like it's on GOG. It's like 2 or
Oh,
3. I don't know, maybe $5. Anyway, my brother was playing maybe the first, maybe the second part, and he was struggling with the fact that the characters move quite slow. And me being a baby, a toddler, I went over next to him while he was playing, and I just smashed the keyboard. But very deliberately, I smashed the numpad. That's when he learned from me that by pressing something on the numpad, I think it was 3, you can
you
actually
can like
speed the
speed
game
it up.
up.
Yo, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yep.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
that's my first interaction with games. I outsmarted and taught my 13 or 12-year-old brother how to speed the game up, which was wonderful. Or so I've been told. I don't recall this.
Yeah. Oh, that is so awesome because it's like the opposite of mine. Well, not my first interaction, but I do remember having a moment like that where I slapped the keyboard when someone else was playing, but it slowed the game down. But we didn't know what button I hit, so we couldn't get out of the we couldn't get out of the slow mo version of it. So at least you had a positive one. Um,
Nice.
but it also you said like check it out on GOG too. I was wondering like what was the name of it again? At least to
Konung. Keep
Kon
Kounung.
Okay, Konung. Okay, nice. And that always comes back to the picture that I was referencing in the beginning of the episode for King's Day, Konung's Day. What's up? So,
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, right? So, as far as like what you do for SunSpear, or in general, like perhaps growing up when you were, developing your skills, like did you have some kind of a similar introduction to art as well?
Uh,
Or at least when did you
let's.
really start getting into like as far as art, to kind of link the two parts together?
Well, I'll do my best, and maybe this will be too tangenty, but maybe that's perfect. Um, my second, and perhaps one of more cherished memories of gaming, and just as far as early as I can remember, I was 4 or 5 or 6 or in that range, preschool, uh, and my brother was playing Morrowind because it had come out quite recently, which
I love the
is
Morrowind references, by the way. That was like one of my favorite games, myself.
same. It is
A
my
lot of
favorite game.
Sunsperians come from Morrowind stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, the problem with that is not only did I not, I mean, I was preschool, so I couldn't really read that well. I don't remember. Maybe I could read a little. Who knows? I don't remember.
Mhm.
Um, Not that that would have helped because that copy of the game was Russian or in
But
Russian,
in that, there's a
which
lot of reading in that game, right?
I definitely could not read that. So to add on top of to anyone who's not played Morrowind, it's a first-person open-world RPG in the style of a little different to Oblivion and Skyrim that came after them, the Elder Scrolls games. It was a more hardcore, dice rolly, or RNG experience. And the atmosphere, which is, in my opinion, the best aspect of the game, and in any Elder Scrolls games in general, just the best atmosphere and environment, I feel. It is very uninviting in a lot of ways. The cultures there, the Dark Elves, the Dunmer, they're just straight up racist.
Yeah.
They just do not like you. It doesn't matter. You could be Dark Elf. They're just an outsider.
This is not a
Like,
fan. I
they
remember
don't-
this.
no.
Yeah. And
They hate
like all
you.
the.
Yeah.
Oh man, getting chased around.
Yeah, it being in Russian, adding on top of that, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just running around,
Why is everyone so mad at me?
using the console, setting God mode on, jumping over to I forget the Solstheim is the island's name because the expansions were out by then. Just running around naked there, naked as in my character was naked, and the Nords there were naked.
So you fit right in.
Spearing everyone for no reason. Yeah, it's a wonderful time. I didn't understand what I was doing, but I fell in love with it anyway, which led me to eventually, when I was 14, in 2014, easy enough for me to remember, I joined the project Skywind, which is the recreation of Morrowind in the Skyrim engine, which at that time was only 3 years old. Skyrim was, not Morrowind. Morrowind's a bit older.
Yeah.
And that's where I started doing anything game related. I started out with the simplest thing that I could apply for, because I was like, oh, shit, I really want to be a part of this. So what can I learn to like help out?
What did you do,
so
man?
that was set dressing, which is just like slapping things in the level editor to make it pretty, slapping assets together, and that grew into me finding out the things that I enjoy more eventually, which is messing around in the engine and trying to make things happen that perhaps shouldn't be happening. The creation kit, while being a great modding tool, it is still very much kind of locked down in what it can do. It does have a scripting language. It has like as much open as possible, but it's not the source code of the game. You can't go around changing everything that is in the game. So I was just looking around in ways like, how can I enhance the experience as best I can, given the limited tools that I have, which at some points were basically none, because you got the creation kit, but then if you want to like do effects, you
would need something more.
Yeah, there's no real easy way to make effects as a modder for Skyrim. The way that I did it, and I think anyone else that does anything effects related as a Skyrim modder, is open up existing effects through a program called NifScope. Nif is the file format that Bethesda uses for anything 3D or effects related. It contains mesh data, particle data, whatever else you could think of that relates to that.
Okay.
And in NifScope, it's mostly a read only, but also write. You can write things into the file format, but in a very limited way, like copy pasting nodes or like little lines, and changing values, and like changing out the textures for something. So it's very limited, not user friendly at all. But I managed to do some things, which eventually got me to working for SunSpear.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to like spark it. I was gonna say, because like even if you have limited tools, right? Like your creativity still can be there to use these limited tools in such a way to do in such a big game, right? As well. Man.
And it being so limited in some ways is really interesting, because you have such a limited tool set. Like developers, I feel game developers, I don't know, maybe this is generalizing and totally like shower thoughts territory, but might even underappreciate the amount of tools they can possibly have, because while working on that, it's just like, as far as shaders go, that is like how you define a surface, what kind of textures you can use.
Yeah.
It's just what Bethesda has provided, whatever they have, which is like you can slap on a texture, one texture set onto a thing, a 3D model, and that's it. These days, like you can put various textures together and combine them, like do math
There's so
operations and
much.
whatever else. Like infinite possibilities. When you're modding
Yeah,
for Skyrim, you just have a limited things you can do, which it does in a way expand your creativity when you have such
limited.
constraints.
I agree. Oh, 100%. Yes.
But it's also extremely uh, freeing to have such tools these days, like that actually anyone, can at least try out. Like Unreal Engine, free to use for anyone.
Yeah.
Any
Do you feel
other,
that?
like most other tools that like even professionals use, there's trial versions at least that you could try out. It's not locked down anymore. It's really great.
Like you can get into it. You're not like restricted. Like if you really want to make this effect happen, you can.
Yep.
Man, actually, I did forget to mention that we do have a giveaway going on, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat. If you would like to be entered to win an Immortal Gates of Pyre Alpha key, just type in !raffle in chat and you will be entered to win that. And we'll be drawing those at the end of the show. Another thing that I did want to note is my boy, Big Jon, is going to be drawing in the background too. So what do we got? What do we got in the background that you're going to be working on today?
Yeah, so we have started the SunSpear art department. We've started doing a monthly kind of like art challenge where we will take a concept that is present in a lot of games. So like a dragon or a wizard or a necromancer, or in this case, a giant. And basically we draw whatever that concept is in a way that would fit in the universe of Immortal. And it's just kind of a way for us to keep our imaginations going and practicing fitting things to Immortal style. And it's just a for fun little thing. So this is my giant that I'm working on. It's a kind of like an Eskimo race of giants
Mhm.
that live on one of the moons of the moon Cal, which is a moon of shale, and they live in an incredibly cold environment, and in the winter times they freeze themselves and essentially just shut down their bodies until they thaw out
Oh, when
later.
like
And
the
so this
spring
is
comes.
like a Eskimo tribe of giants, and then this one has it's a mom and a little
Oh my god, I
baby.
didn't even see that. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Oh, that is so sick.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's funny when you pointed it out. I was like, oh my god, it's a little.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Word. All right. Well, Ignis, also before we go into, I think you were saying that the actual messing around in Morrowind is what led you to eventually join SunSpear. But I did want to ask you, aside from even what you do for work, do you have any other hobbies that you like to kill free time with, or things that you're interested in that people might not expect, perhaps, or you know
Sure.
stuff like that?
I dabble. I dabble in many things.
Oh,
Well,
Dr.
these days
Dabbler.
I'm mostly into uh, various types of fitness, uh, long distance running or medium distance,
Hmm.
uh, body weight, weight training.
Hmm.
That's almost a misnomer, almost. Uh,
Right. But it makes sense. I think we get it too.
yeah, just going to the gym sometimes if I muster the courage to go to the gym.
Hey,
I don't particularly like going to gyms,
it's a scary place, man.
but there are things that you cannot do yourself, like with your own equipment without a barbell, so you're limited. So sometimes I go to the gym as well. And bread making, I like bread making.
Okay. You're not talking about
Not
like getting that
that,
Skrilla killer, but like literally baking bread.
yeah, baking bread.
Oh man. So, well,
It's very
okay.
fun. It's very relaxing, and
I feel like it's
Maybe
an
this
once you
art.
is
get
a
I
into the
feel like
false
it's an
zone,
memory.
art.
Ignis, tell me if this is, if I'm just making this up or not.
sure.
Did you join a call with me and Nexus from Skywind one time talking about some of the bread you were making? I had a
That
memory of us in Skywind, and you were much younger then, and you joined the call, and we were like working, and you and Nexus started talking about bread. I just can't remember if that's that may have been someone else, but I was starting to feel like it may have been you.
it very well could have been me. It may have not have been about bread. It could have been
Okay.
about something
Okay.
else. Maybe I was
Yeah.
making an apple tart that he had taught
Yes. Yeah,
me
it was
recently.
something.
Oh,
That's right. Oh my gosh.
haha,
Wow,
we've
what a
solved it,
memory. Yeah.
dude.
Okay. Cool. I just
So
wanted to
not
make
Yeah,
sure.
that was like 8 years ago or something.
Yep.
holy
Yeah. It
moly.
was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So the history does go back that far, eh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh, so cool. So not even just bread making, but like baker, bakery in general, right?
I wouldn't. I'd say out of the culinary arts, baking, I do the least. I'm more into cooking, but
Okay.
bread making just has something about it where you can get into the flow state and just focus on the one thing in front of you quite easily, and that's really nice. I feel
Okay.
sometimes in many hobbies it takes a lot of time to get into some flow zone, like
Yep.
focus just on that. In bread making, it happens quite fast, especially if you're kneading by hand. That's usually when it happens.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man, that's so cool because there's actually I don't know if it's like a giant bakery that's next door called Fantini, and every
Mhm.
morning, right, without fail, I don't even need an alarm clock. Okay, like I'm like it's like 5
Oh
a.m. in
man,
the morning, and the smell of that fresh baked bread is what wakes me up every morning at this point. So I could
there's
just
very
imagine.
little that smells like nicer than actual like
It's
freshly baked
oh
bread. It's something magical about the simplicity of it. It's
yes,
wonderful.
it's so good. Yeah, and I mean, I tell you right now, it's not like it's next door. We're talking like at least I'll say a couple 100 meters away. So, oh man, definitely. Oh, that's so cool though. Okay, so yeah, I know. At least Dylan is a foodie, so maybe one of these days, right? If we have a SunSpear meetup, we'll have a little potluck, and I can I
Yeah,
can I
I
can make the
guarantee you that will
cereal.
happen. I'm
Yeah.
sure that.
I'll make the cereal and the Pop Tarts, and you guys can make all the more, intricate, complicated stuff.
Nice.
So,
Looking forward to it.
oh, me too, me too. All right, word. So, you did talk about joining SunSpear, right? So this it goes back 8 years, okay, at least. So you guys were in a call
Well,
8 years, but
not Sunsphere, but like Skywind days,
yeah,
which predated Sunsphere
hmm
in its current modern form, anyway.
correct. So at least I'd like to know at least that history as far as becoming part of the team or when it happened. Whenever it is that Ignis was introduced or perhaps part of the creation because I don't even know myself. So I'm gonna actually sit back and let you at least kind of describe your journey as a part of
Sure,
becoming part of Sunspear.
sure. So as I dabbled in Skywind in many different uh, areas, set dressing, effects, tech artistry, not really. That's not really a thing. Or maybe the whole modding thing is being a tech artist. I don't know. It's a weird definition that we
Yeah.
can try to unravel later.
Okay.
As I was doing that, SunSpear was gearing up, and they were desperate for an effects artist. And some of the people that were part of of Skywind were part of SunSpear as well.
Okay.
Big Jon, uh, many others. I won't go through the
Yeah, a
list. I'm
lot,
sure
a
Oh
I'll
lot of
miss a
man.
lot.
others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many different projects. I always feel like that predate Sunspear and
Yeah.
Immortal.
So I got an interview uh, I got an art test. I passed the art test, and the rest is history.
Heck yeah.
That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago and 3 months ago.
Word. Damn, I know. Yeah, because we were actually talking a little bit beforehand that you have been part of Pyreside with 3 different guests, or at least hosts, I should say, right? Like you're an OG, a triple OG is what we call that where I'm from. So yeah, you got the hat trick also if you're a hockey fan. And so,
I have an Ignas story. I remember.
yes.
So one time, I had not worked with, like VFX, just very much at all. I had mostly just strictly been on the concept side, and my experience with a concept art pipeline, pretty much ended with, like the orthographic stage and like, sending that off to a 3D modeler. So VFX was not something that was kind of in my mind at the time. And I remember I was working on the throne, and I had some notes kind of scribbled down for how I wanted the swords to look when they flew out. And Ignas just saw just my little scribbles and then did it like almost perfectly and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I was like, "Holy shit, that's like, wow, that's what I was thinking. There you go, that's it."
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's
then
like
he was like, could you paint um the explosion the way uh the way that you want it to look?" I was like, I mean, yeah, sure. And then he came back like, I feel like it was the same day. I can't
what
remember.
figured.
It was really fast.
Yeah.
But
Fast.
it was exactly the way the painting looked. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. It was so cool. And it just kept happening. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that this shit blew my mind. Just like seeing you know what it was? The throne thing came later. The first thing was the Hallower.
Okay.
The
Oh,
Hallower mortar drop. Yeah. And because it was like we wanted it to feel impactful and not be like not look like a nuke went off, because it's like it can't look more powerful
too
than what it
powerful.
is.
Yeah.
So I painted that, and yeah, it just made it look exactly like that. It was so cool.
Dude, that is one of the most satisfying effects. Right? Like when you see it, it's like the wind up. And I
Yeah.
always bring it back. So there was this I don't know if I'm probably dating myself, and I don't know if anybody played this game. It was called Fantasy Star Online on
Yep.
Dreamcast. And there was this like weapon called like the Heaven's Punisher. And there were like these dual guns, right? And you would shoot and it would be a delay, and then like something would come from the sky and like like blow up, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like got these crazy flashbacks to that whenever I saw the Hallower's attack go off, and I was like, oh my god, like I just had like nerd chills on my body. And there's something about just being able to capture that and actually make it look good in an engine.
Yeah.
Especially on a unit that in an RTS is insane. So thank you.
This was the Hallower beam, by the way.
Oh
This
my
was
god.
the picture, and then Ignas
Yep.
basically just took this and put it right in.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Not all heroes wear capes, Ignis, okay?
I wish I could pull a cape off.
Right? I think you could, I believe in you. I would support you, right? So if you did start like some kind of I don't know, one of those I was trying to think Patreon or way to support you, I would totally do it. So
Thank you so much.
I got you, dog. But word, okay, man. So yeah, it's been quite some time, and I mean, I guess I could even ask you: are there any other like stories of cool effects like that maybe people that are watching in chat or just on the VOD, right? Like, oh, you see this effect in the game, and like I did that, or at least was a part of it, or things that were like
Do you have a
challenging to do.
favorite? Do you have a
Yeah,
favorite effect that you've worked on in SunSpear so far?
Mm.
are they all your
I
babies?
well, in a way, I mean, I've been the sole effects artist for a while, up until quite recently. So anything you see effects related, good or bad, placeholder. Well, actually, some placeholders now, some designers did. So if something looks bad, I'll blame the designers now, not just myself.
There you go. The more people to blame, the always the better.
Yes. Yeah, so anything FX related is probably done by me. So let me think. My favorite, the recency bias. Probably the most recent big thing that I've done is the Mall Arena Blood cast.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
I think it's probably the most satisfying thing I've
I
done.
think, yep. I mean, you don't have to think. It's just that's just a fact. But yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
Although,
Yeah, I guess.
smaller scale wise, the Castigator attack, I feel is quite quite nice.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
yeah. Even
Castigator attack is really cool.
a lot of them. I mean, even over the past, even just months too, right? Some of the polish to these effects have been so nice. So yes, we do thank you for your work, man. Um, but I guess we'll jump into as far as visual effects and like I said, tech artist wizardry. Even though you said tech artistry is not like a thing, but it's more of a what like a concept or
It's a
a
thing, but we'll get
collection.
into it.
Okay, then let's jump into it. Right. So can you kind of give us a brief description? I think you gave us a bit of it as far as making the specific um, effects that we see in the game. But I mean, I would ask you, is it always like that where someone comes to you and says, "Hey, man, this is the kind of effect that I want. How do we do it?" Or, do you get a bit more involved sometimes in the creative process as to what it is that this effect should actually be and how it should feel?
Right. It varies. It varies per asset sometimes. It varies over time, as we've continued to refine our processes and pipeline of creating units and effects. And therefore, it's gotten a lot less prescriptive from the concept from 2D department. So it's more they give rough sketches or maybe no sketches at all these days. And now another effects artist, we just do our best. Uh, they give us more freedom. Sometimes it's more prescriptive, more planned out. Um, the Mall Arena Blood,
Yeah.
it was in between those two. There was a concept from Melody, but it didn't go much into detail of all the explosion. That was just I inferred that. Uh, I pumped it up to 11 basically, turned the
Yeah.
knob to 11.
Did you enjoy that more? I was gonna ask, like, do you like having more freedom, or do you like saying, okay, this is what I need to do. Now let's focus more on making so and so happen? Or do you enjoy the creative process of like, all right, we're gonna give this
Uh,
delay and then boom, like everything blows up.
that's a tough question. It depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I had a concept when I don't. Sometimes I wish like this concept I'm just not feeling it, so I kind of
Yeah.
go outside. Sometimes the concept is great and I just do the concept. Plenty
Okay.
of times. It really depends on I don't actually know sometimes.
It depends on the day. Or you're not gonna
The
like have
exact
have a solid answer you know, for everything, right? Some days, like you were saying, just eh, I'm just not
yeah.
feeling it. I mean, I feel that way too. It's like even like writer's block, right? Like sometimes you get like a creative block as far as like I can make it happen, but the idea of what it should be can be a bit more daunting on other days
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
maybe you had a dream, maybe like and you're like, all right, this is exactly how it is. Mala came to me in a vision and said, "This is how she wants her Rain of Blood to look."
That would be very scary.
Yeah.
Mala scares me. I want to see some animations with blood running down her cheeks
Uh-huh.
that are just open. Like that's metal as fuck. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah. She's like slowly becoming one of my favorite characters, even with some of the short stories and just just her philosophy as a whole, right? So the whole sacrifice and for the greater cause. And then I think that was the icing on the cake when the new Reign of Blood came in too. So hopefully of course there'll be more of those kind of effects to come in the future. Um,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think like the more that you do it, you get more ideas to even push it. You said it was 11. You push it to 11. Maybe we'll see some 15s or some 20s in the future.
Gotta keep it contained. See,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
do everything at 15, then nothing's a 15 anymore. It's
True.
all just a 10.
Yeah. Well, you get like the Dragon Ball Z syndrome where it's just like, well, you just got to keep going up in power levels, right? So the point where it's like, well, every you know opponent from the first season could never compete with anybody that's in like Dragon Ball Super, right? And so it's like, dang. But
Krillin's still holding his own somehow.
yeah, somehow.
He's doing great.
Destructo this. I don't know how he does it, man, but that's the thing, you hang around those that make you stronger, or at least make you feel more stronger, right? So maybe he's still at like a 4, but he has a really good hype squad behind him, right? So, but but yeah, man, that's actually really cool to hear, like how you have been kind of pushing yourself in that aspect in different ways to approach it. So when it did come down to it, as far as creating visual effects, how did you get into it, or was there a point in time where you were kind of messing around with some of these other tools that you said you were limited by, but you still were able to make things happen and said, I just want to go a little bit further? Or
Right. So
yeah.
it was mostly starting out as a Skyrim modder, like
Hmm.
doing with Nifscope, editing values in existing effects, and then
Yeah.
trying to cram other things into the effects. If you see uh, anything Skywind related, there's like weather effects. Most of that is probably done by me. There's like lighting, dust storms, whatever. I did
Hmm.
most of that, and that once you go into Unreal and you have all the tools and possibilities, the effect editor in Unreal is called Niagara. It's very
Okay.
data driven. It's very open ended. You can go very deep into it, like write every little piece of code in there, and it'll do what you want. Like it's very open ended.
Okay.
Which my previous experience in uh, JavaScript web development of all things really helped. It's probably my only formal training that I had really
Okay.
is I went to trade school for uh, I went to trade school for C
Web.
sharp,
Oh.
uh, but due to government related errors in the system, a person who has not gone through college was not able to, through their system, join or enroll into the C sharp course for the trade school. So
Really?
me and the teachers in the school devised a plan to be like, okay, you enroll for Java, but like you just go to classes for C sharp. Similar thing anyway. But yeah, so I on paper I was a student for Java
Yeah,
development,
but
uh,
you got
but
much.
I went to C sharp classes, .NET. But actually, when we actually did our um, group project, which was a little app to do something. I don't recall. Anyway, it was a web app. I did all the front end JavaScript on React for it. So I got 2 diplomas. I got 1 diploma for Java because I finished it, even though I
Hell yeah.
didn't go to the classes. I got a diploma for C sharp, which I don't really know. I actually just knew JavaScript. Anyway, it got me some programming fundamentals, which really helped when transitioning to Unreal Engine. Just knowing some basic programming really helps. Uh,
Yeah.
and as for the art side, I went to art school for like a whole of 3 months when I was in high school. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Never learned how to draw. It's not really necessary for effects. It
Yeah,
can
true, true,
really
true.
help, especially in the stylized end. If you want to do League of Legends esque effects, you pretty much have to draw. But in the more realistic end, you end up using more simulations and procedural shader tricks math to do that thing. So
Insane it. Oh, yeah,
that
that must
worked
be
out for
so
me.
cool. I mean, I would love to like, have that like one day, right? The behind the Mac, Ignis, creating some kind of effect, seeing it from start to finish, right? Where being able to see, right? Like this started off as a little like one little string, and then like look at what happens when it actually explodes, like in the physics, I guess.
You can
What
kind
can
of
I
see
do?
it sometimes. Like we have placeholders that are of that quality,
Okay.
and that is usually where I start. I start with a little block out, just matte dots, just little spheres acting as maybe an explosion, maybe a projectile, little
Yeah,
lines. You can see some of those effects in the current alpha version of the game.
indeed. Yeah, I think that what was that the difference between the teapot original attack and how it is a projectile now? Is that a one of those examples? Or?
Probably I don't recall the original
Hmm.
or even the current.
Yeah,
I
right. You just
I don't dabble in the teapot wars. I find it distasteful, so I just look away.
you just want all
Like
teapots to get along. Is that it?
yeah, I think it's kind of like it's really sad how they like the developers made them like kill each other. It used to be like you just run around and like they would chill with each other.
Oh
Like you'd
no.
have
I
groups
mean,
of teapots from separate teams. Now
mhm,
they like kill each other. It's like
you
I don't
know,
know,
it's
not a fan.
like, oh, I'm like starting to feel like this part of me, right? I'm like, oh my god, you're right. Teapots used to exist in harmony, and now they're just spilling tea all over each other, claiming my tea's better than yours, and my teapot brings all the aru to the yard, and I'm really starting to feel some type of way, Ignis, man. You made me feel a whole different way about teapots, man.
I'm glad I could make you feel something.
I did. Oh, it feels good to feel. Okay, but I did have a question from YJ Zhao in the chat. He said, "Is JavaScript related to VFX or visual effects?" I
No,
guess.
I wouldn't say directly. Just what I learned in my trade school, which is basically a programming boot camp.
Yeah.
Uh, just a little bit of programming basics, and it just helps.
All right.
It helps.
Yeah, I think any little bit just to understand like different aspects of it, right? Even programming in general, right? It's like how do we get this to happen on a code level, right? Versus
Yeah.
just the visual. And then kind of bringing them together. And I think that's what I kind of got from the whole, as far as being a tech artist comes into, where it's like, dude, I want this to happen, but how do we make it happen in a way that makes sense within our sandbox, I guess. So
Yeah, tech artist is a weird term. You
yeah.
will it encompasses many different things. It's the ultimate generalist, but the best way I can possibly describe it is filling in the gaps between tech department and an art department
Hmm.
in X team. So in one team, a tech artist might be super art focused.
Gotcha.
In another team where um, the artists are quite technical, or maybe what I mean is it fills in the gap between. So
Yes.
you got programmers that don't really know art, but maybe some of them do. So then the tech artists can be more technical or less. It's just like I said, filling in the gaps between the two.
Yeah.
That's really what that means.
And complementing
In
the strengths and the weaknesses of whatever team that you're a part of, right? So
Yeah, in Blizzard, for example, a tech artist is an effects artist. Like they call effects artists technical artists.
just regardless, no matter what. Yes.
Yeah. For us, effects artist is just a person who does effects. Tech artist, at least at SunSpear right now, is me and
Cool.
Harry. We
Yeah.
do things. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is the best way I can describe what a tech artist does. At least right now at SunSpear, if there's something that needs to be done, that needs to happen, and we don't know how to do it, I do
That's
my best to make it
That's
happen.
awesome. Yeah. And that's why you said to me, I think when I first asked you to even be a guest, you're like, the guy that does what needs doing, and I'm really glad that I mean, it makes sense, right? It wasn't just like, yeah, I'm just a guy that, I just do what needs to be done. But it's a literal job, right? In order to and a talent to recognize what it is that needs to be done. And whether you have to research a little bit more or just apply more of your I say tech wizardry, but just to make it sound cooler. But I mean, it is pretty freaking
It's
cool.
it's a lot of research.
Yeah.
Usually, it is because we're not doing, from a technical standpoint, we're not doing anything groundbreaking with Immortal. Well, now that I say it, like I could get into tangents of stuff that we are doing that is more groundbreaking.
Hmm.
Some that I shouldn't talk about. Some
Okay.
that
Yeah. Secrets.
I could talk about, at least to some extent. But usually, if you've done like, you can find things online of similar things that people have done, and it can really help out. And just knowing where to find that information, and of course having fundamentals so you can actually do it, and not just look for a tutorial on how to do X, because
Yeah.
that only goes so far. You won't go
Mhm.
far with that.
Yeah. Even in the last one, in the last Pyreside, like whether it isn't even is like a tutorial for something like Unreal, like the type of game even that we're making, I feel makes it different too sometimes. Like if you can do certain effect in one game and then you can bring it back to some kind of a battle strategy, top down, seeing things from a different angle kind
Oh
of
yeah.
game is a like a
Uh,
different challenge in its own right.
Yeah, effects for RTS just have very different constraints. Uh, Unreal is generally quite expensive, just whatever. Just like adding an effect just is expensive. Something like Infinity Wards, I forget the name of the engine, but whatever COD is running on,
Uh-huh.
it is quite limited, but it is very efficient in what it does. You can have many, many layers of like dust and smoke and clouds and whatever overlapping uh, on one pixel or on the whole screen, and it
I see.
will chew through those instructions quite fast. Unreal is quite a lot slower with all that. We don't have to contend with that because we don't have huge vistas
True.
in RTS. We have a top-down camera where the overdraw, which is how many individual layers the engine needs to
Are
draw, like
okay.
of individual smoke sheets or whatever else, it's not a lot. Like you have a top-down, the ground is right there. You can only stack so
See
much
it.
smoke on top of it.
Yeah.
What
Then
the
the fog of war.
cost? The fog of war is just a post-process effect.
True,
It's
true,
quite
true.
quite cheap.
I'm just kidding.
Um, in an RTS, the problem is whatever effect you make, you can make it like they have to be simple. You can see that effect not just once. It can be on screen dozens, if not
Yes,
hundreds of
hundreds.
times at the same time. So you make a wrong decision of how you're constructing an effect, it's fine for one effect. It's fine for 10. Spawn that 100 times and you got problems.
Yeah.
That's really the problem you contend with in an RTS. It's just the amount of things that are interactable and live and dynamic is a lot to deal with for the engine. And Unreal is not usually used for RTS games. Usually people use their own engines for that, but that takes a lot of time and a
Interesting.
lot of manpower. So we're doing our best to use Unreal, which is a wonderful engine, but for RTS it is sometimes challenging because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I mean, just even looking at like the what we even have now is like incredible, especially from before, and then seeing like the new builds, and we do these kind of stress tests a lot, right? And we're seeing like, oh my god, all right, we're gonna try to do this with as many immortal abilities as possible, and then see if we can break the game and crash it. And even in the last couple, like we've been really good at doing that, like simulating like a huge, gigantic battle and having it not crash. And so I guess I gotta commend y'all for being able to make that happen with some of these crazy effects that happen, and not crashing. So like big ups to y'all,
Sometimes it does
y'all and the
crash.
tech. So, but that's the thing what we try to like push, right? It's like if it doesn't, it's like all right, how do we look into it to try to make it more efficient if we can? But I could
Yeah.
only imagine. But that's why you get paid the big bucks, man. Yes.
And I would like to go on at least a small tangent of like what the hell is tech artist in SunSpear? What
Oh
do I
yeah, just give
do?
us an idea, right?
Because like it's been quite vague, right? So like, what are the things that I've done that I would call tech artist work?
Sure, that'd be
Uh,
awesome.
Visualizing the rootway. Uh, how like I get some arrays that's just like lines of numbers from tech like the code,
Yeah,
uh, and I have to figure
like I'm
out
thinking
how
like the
the hell do
Matrix
we
over here. I'm like,
make
what?
how the hell do we make rootway show up and have it like nicely grow and whatnot. That's something of the sort that I have to figure out. Something you'll notice in our fog of war, for example, that it fades in and out. It doesn't just like click in blocks. It doesn't get appeared in blocks of whatever size they are. It actually is a smooth transition. Something that
Okay.
I've noticed even newer games somehow for some reason they don't do that. I find it quite jarring when you like walk move your characters a little bit, and the blocks of Fog of War
Like,
just disappear. It's
yeah,
very jarring. So making it fade in and out, that kind of thing. Optimization of art related things, it's mostly under my domain.
Okay.
So doing my best to inform the departments of what they can or cannot do for X unit, whichever one that might be. Something that is okay for the behemoth, which is like physics for the tail, so that it's not a finished unit, but it like has a little bit of a lag. So if you turn, the tail doesn't just snap.
Immediate.
It actually lags a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
We can't do that for the behemoth. We cannot do that for something like a masked hunter if it was a flying little creature, because you can have hundreds of masked
That'd be too
hunters.
many. And you just know. Yeah.
Yeah, it
You have
just
to
doesn't
know.
work like that. So yeah, that's what tech artists do at SunSpear. But if you were to Google tech artist, you might find a forum of tech artists. It's mostly just people rigging and writing plugins in Maya, which I found like that's not what I do.
No, you're like, hold up. It's like a
Yeah.
different, like you're more involved in, I don't know, you're like the liaison of like, hey, this is what is possible. I know this is what, you would really want to have done, but like how can we make this come to life in the way that you want to with our whether it's limitations or not. So
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Or what it is that we have the bandwidth to do, right? Like what is realistic, right? You kind of bring it
Yeah.
to reality, I guess. Um, Man, I do want to remind people of the raffle if you haven't joined, by the way. Speaking of this game that we are discussing, that Ignis is the tech artist for, and of course the lead VFX artist. If you type in exclamation raffle, you can join it, and we are going to be drawing that in about 5 minutes. So this is your last final chance to be entered into the drawing, as we do unfortunately come towards the end of this interview. Man, I can't believe it's already almost one. Damn.
It is time is
What?
flying.
What is going on here? I guess YJ was asking again too. This might be more of a creative question, but maybe John would have a better idea. Like how are characters, factions,
Yeah, I just
etc.
answered it in chat.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
He did have a question. YJ had a question earlier. Uh, for Ignis, would you say it's a good idea to become a master of both, or try to focus on one side and just try and be capable enough in the other in terms of art and tech? And I think you kind of answered that a little bit, like focusing on tech, and then it's not exactly necessary to master art. But yeah, something kind of like that, right?
I wouldn't agree with that entirely, but sure.
Well, no, I was basically was trying to paraphrase, so I guess I got it wrong. What would you say would be?
Sure. I think it depends on what you like the most.
Okay.
There's space for all sorts of permutations and combinations of amount of art and tech that you can do. That is kind of why tech artists are in short supply these days. Usually people gravitate to one or the other
I see.
more. And a tech artist kind of has to have I wouldn't say even split, but more of a combination of those two rather than just one. And that is why, well, yeah, it's a little more rare because
Yeah.
I'm not a good artist. I'm not a good programmer. I'm
But
okay
you
at
get
both.
it.
I do both.
That's another
Gotcha.
skill though. Yeah. Okay. Man, that's so interesting. And I think that's what I learned the most when I started even, starting my Google journey, to even ask you certain questions too. So hopefully I was able to ask a decent amount of questions that made sense and weren't just like, oh God, man, let me school this kid here about what it is that I do.
It's a
But
decent amount. There's still so much that I would love to go over. Stuff
yeah.
like how I'm trying to optimize for RTS in
Hmm.
many ways. I can drop some hints. Like what I'm trying, it's very costly. Unreal and I will try to keep it brief, right? We only have a few minutes left.
True.
Uh, Unreal is very, perhaps infamous for being single-threaded, rather not multi-threaded enough. Stuff runs on a select amount of CPU
Of
cores,
course. Okay.
and doesn't use the extra cores you have quite as efficiently as I'd like. So you really got to drop the bottleneck on a specific thread called the game thread. That's where the logic, the simulation, animations, most of those things happen. And right now, our bottleneck is actually animation. With regards to client-side performance, there's server-side stuff that the tech people do.
Okay.
But in terms of animation, something that I'm trying to I'm doing
It's
research
like
R&D for this.
the puzzle,
Is
right? That's like the
Yeah, animation sharing, something like you have 100 units that are the same unit. They're all running the same animation, but they're like it's the same animation, it's the same moving cycle,
Mhm.
but they're just slightly offset from each other. What if you don't do the work for 100 animations? What if you just do the work for 15? And then
Yeah.
you divide those 15 animations to the 100 units. So you might 10 of the units might use the first Masked Hunter's running animation. The other 10 might use the second ones, and then you save like
So many resources. Like, yeah.
80% of the animation budget by reusing the animation from a set amount of units. That gets complicated when you start like getting into blending between states and all sorts of other things. There's tools in Unreal to do this, but that is just one of the many things that I'm trying
To learn. Oh
to
man.
to improve the performance on the game, because there's lots of work to be done, and we want big battles to run really fast. Like I
Yeah.
want 120 FPS on the big battles on a reasonable rig.
Okay.
That's my goal.
The
Like I
goal.
want
Hell
120
yeah.
FPS.
I'm with it.
Low FPS is not for me.
I'm with it. Yeah. I'm with it, Ignis. Oh man. Yeah, I can only imagine, man. So I'm glad you're at the range of that too, right? With that mentality as well, right? Because that is something, right? To be able to even have that idea as far as like how to be as efficient as possible. Like, instead of running it over and over and over again when it's not necessary to do, you're moving these units usually in a way that they're moving in sync in a way, right? So maybe the only thing limiting the attack or this or that is the range of the ability that it is or attack that they're using, right? So and then the location of it spawning. But dang, there's a lot. That's why that's so intriguing to me. So man, is there anything else before I run this raffle to give away the Immortal Alpha keys?
I think we
Just a
covered
little
it pretty
quick,
well.
man, I know there's so much that you probably wanna talk about, and there's so much that I wanna hear too.
There is still a lot, but I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. Um, dang. No, I could yeah. I wish we did have more time. Dang, Ignis. And I appreciate you so much though, at least for breaking it down for, a lot of us that might not understand exactly what the difference is, between the different types of artists and how they interact with each other. But you made a really good point, and I think it was when John was coming through and talking about it. As far as what it is to focus on is usually kind of relying on the team as well, right? So it's like what does the team need? And you're kind of like the flex artist almost in a way that understands different aspects of it and then lends whatever talents are necessary or does whatever research is necessary, right, in order to incorporate that. So
Yeah.
I like that a lot, and I wouldn't have known that before today. So thank you. All right. I think we're going to be doing giveaway though. So if this is our last chance for anybody that does want a key, type in exclamation raffle. I believe the giveaway might be ending in a minute. We're going to be going off soon. But it's the last chance. Nope, you can't even enter it anymore. That's it. So I guess we're going to be giving away to those that had entered. So let us find out who the winners are. We got YJ. And did I miss? Oh, I might have missed it. Nah, I don't believe so. But yes, the raffle is over. Unfortunately, no one else can join. But yeah, YJ is the first winner of that, and I do want to at least thank you, Ignas, man, for coming on. Big Jon, right? I love this so much. I had no idea that this is what we were going to be gifted with. Yeah, so.
Looks like we might have some trouble with the keys giveaway right now.
Yeah, it seems so. So I can probably scroll up a bit too, but yes.
Sword SC2 is the other winner.
Okay, Sword SC2. There we go. Thank you, Jon.
And are we missing? Are we missing? Oh yeah, okay.
And we get
third
one
is
more.
Axel Fremen.
Axel Fremen. So congratulations on your keys, ladies and gentlemen. Message me on Discord. So just join the Immortal Gates of Pyre Discord, I believe, and find me there. Tempo TEMP0. And I will be giving you your keys and then providing you with the instructions in order to redeem them. So thank you so much for coming on, Ignas, man. I do wish we had more time, man. I was like, oh, we're just getting started, it feels like. But we do have to roll out, unfortunately. All good things must come to an end. If you have any last final parting words, Ignas and Big Jon, please feel free to let the people know.
I tried to think of something clever, but it's too short notice. So, no, I don't. Have a nice time.
And thank you for the name suggestion, YJ. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching, for being here.
Indeed. Thank everybody for tuning in today. Next week, we will be doing a creative corner. So if you would like to flex your creative juices and perhaps even say, you know, anything as far as artwork, poetry, pottery, Etsy stuff, anything creative. And I'm going to say in relation to Karath, you know, we'll give a little bit of a focus to Karath this week. Come on down, check out the Discord and check the calendar and become a part of that because it's always a good time. So much love to everybody. Thank you so much, Ignas. Big Jon, obviously, for accompanying me, drawing some badass art, and Johnny, who is behind the scenes in production today to make everything run smoothly. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. This will be in a month for Pyreside, but you know, every Friday at 12 p.m. PST, there's going to be something going on. So check out that Discord calendar. All right. It's your boy Tempo, aka Kwame Mensa. Signing out. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.
See you guys. Thanks.